Author C.S. Lewis, best remembered for the Chronicles of Narnia, played numerous roles within the literary landscape. In 1964, he published The Discarded Image, a work that grew out of a series of well-received Oxford lectures on medieval life. The book explores the medieval model, the framework of thought that shaped intellectual life throughout the Middle Ages. It was the final book he completed before his death in 1963. Lewis begins by noting that the study is a broad overview of medieval intellectual habits and is not meant to reflect every level of society. Nor does it attempt to address larger related debates of the era, such as nominalism versus realism. He also acknowledges that although the worldview of the Middle Ages may strike modern readers as simplistic, much of it was rooted in learned tradition and a genuine devotion to orderly classification. Writers like Cicero, Lucan, and the author of the Thebaid also helped mold this framework. Prior to about 205 AD, much medieval thought drew from pagan ideas afterward, and particularly until around 355 AD, Christianity began to dominate intellectual life. Lewis refers to this turbulent era as the seminal period. In a section titled The Heavens, Lewis describes medieval cosmology. Medieval thinkers held to a concept called kindly inclining, the idea that everything is in constant motion, yet ultimately returns to its natural place. They did not generally believe that objects possessed human traits, but they did think that celestial bodies governed all movement on Earth. Medieval philosophy identified four ascending forms of existence: simple existence, as in stones; existence with growth, as in plants; existence with growth and sensation, as in animals; and all of these combined with reason, as in humans. These levels corresponded to four contraries: hot, cold, moist, and dry, which in turn produced the four elements: fire, air, water, and earth. A fifth element, either, also existed, though humans could not perceive it. Beyond this, they accepted the Ptolemaic universe, placing Earth at the center and surrounding it with hollow spheres representing Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Outside Saturn lay the stellium, the sphere of fixed stars. In this ordered system, everything moved from the highest level downward, beginning with God and culminating on Earth. They envisioned the universe as a structured sphere, almost like a crafted architectural design rather than an endless expanse. Medieval scholars knew the Earth was round but believed the equatorial regions were too hot to support life. Lewis then turns to medieval views of natural history and folklore. Although people of the time were often familiar with domestic and farm animals, many still accepted the reality of creatures like fairies or centaurs. Their beliefs about fairies were surprisingly intricate. Fairies might be a separate species, wandering spirits of the dead, former angels, or even fallen angels. Expanding on this, Lewis outlines additional components of the medieval worldview. Earth itself, they believed, was motionless and therefore required no divine steering. Fortune could act upon earthly affairs now and then, but not as a permanent force. All living beings possess souls, but not the same kind. The sensitive soul encompassed the five senses: sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. The vegetable soul governed involuntary processes like growth. The rational soul combined the vegetable and sensitive souls and added the capacity for emotion. The human soul included all these and was uniquely capable of reason. Medieval thinkers imagined the body and soul communicating through an intermediary, somewhat like a spiritual envoy. The human body itself was further shaped by the four humors: sanguine, choleric, melancholic, and phlegmatic, with one typically dominating a person's temperament. Lewis next explores the medieval treatment of history and learning. Medieval historians varied in method. Some applied a more analytical approach, but most aimed to create a picture of the past. Such portrayals were not always rooted in fact. They existed largely to engage curiosity rather than provide strict accuracy. Yet educated medieval people held rigorous academic expectations, structured around the 7 liberal arts: grammar, dialectic, rhetoric, arithmetic, music, geometry, and astronomy. In his final chapter, Lewis reflects on the lasting effect of the medieval model. Overall, the model enjoyed widespread acceptance, encouraging a common intellectual outlook among medieval thinkers. It satisfied the imaginative and speculative needs of the people, even though, as he concludes, much of it fails to withstand scrutiny from a modern scientific perspective. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe.